Let's talk Mets. Not a whole lot going on, right? Not a whole lot going on in Mets world. We did name a manager, finally, in the year 2019. Unbelievable. First Latino coach. This is crazy. First Latino coach or manager in New York sports history? It can't be right. I know it's Mets history, although I don't know. For some reason, I always thought like Jerry Manuel had a little bit of Latino in him, but I guess not. So that's cool. First Latino coach or manager in New York sports history. Obviously bilingual, which was a huge plus. Although I'd love to see Joe Girardi take a crack at Spanish. I think that would be funny. I watched the introductory press conference. Brodie Van Wagenen is so like robotic and rehearsed. It's just like, dude, just shoot from the hip a little bit here. You utilize your improvisational skills just a tad. Oh, you brought him in here to win? Well, no shit. Probably going to come out the wrong way, as it always does with me, but his Beltran's English isn't that great, and it's like I'm in a weird subtitle closed captioning mode. Like everything I watch on TV or video has closed caption and subtitles, and I often read that, and it's like I'd almost rather listen to him speak Spanish and see the English captions than to watch him speak English. No offense. I'm not saying, don't take it the wrong way. I'm just saying like it is nicer to hear him speak Spanish. And you get a little choked up too when he's speaking Spanish because he doesn't have to think about it as much when he speaks Spanish. It just comes from the heart, and he gets a little more emotional because he's tapping into a more natural part of himself, and that's when he started to shed some tears and cue the waterworks. But that's good to see in my mind. I liked seeing that he's emotional and passionate, and hopefully he's not just a mindless puppet robot for the Wilpons and Brodie. And Brodie got asked the question about Joe Girardi point blank, like why didn't you hire Girardi? And he was like, well, Beltran's just he skirted around the issue and just said that Beltran had more of the qualities they were looking for than Girardi. But it just seems like after what Girardi said, where he's like, I have control over the lineup, that now Beltran doesn't seem like he's gonna have any say or be able to push back on anything that comes from the upstairs, if you will. Beautiful smile. I forgot Beltran's smile. He's got those really solid teeth. Shiny white pearls, just amazing stuff. Interested to see, I don't know if there was a ton of questions about what he sees about players specifically. It was more about the team in general. He didn't say anything that earth-shattering or groundbreaking. He did say that he wants to kind of rewrite his history with the New York Mets as manager, giving a nod to the way things ended with, people kind of remembering him for striking out in the 06 NLCS. And then for getting traded for Wheeler and all that stuff, it's kind of behind him. So it really does seem like the past is the past, and he's going to focus on the future, and he has a huge opportunity to he does have to rewrite history. So that was a cool little quote. I like that. It would have been nice for him to hear, what his thoughts are specifically around certain players, but I think they were going to get into that on a one-on-one basis is what they mentioned in the press conference. But Brodie, dude, he just is so mechanical. I don't know. It's hard to get excited about Brodie. What would be nuts, and I don't know if they announced this yet, but there's rumors that he's going to bring back Terry Collins as a bench coach, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? What? A lot of people fans are pushing for it, and I'm just like, how does that? I guess if Terry's down for it, but it'd be a very interesting dynamic. So I saw a lot of people saying we should hope he keeps Phil Regan, the pitch coach, the vulture, which I agree with. Chili Davis, keep him as the hitting coach, which, I agree with. The numbers are there. Why not? But Terry Collins is bench coach. I don't know if I'm completely on board with it. Terry, all of a sudden took on, after that Ass in the Jackpot video came out, it's like everyone was way back on board with Terry Collins as a Mets manager. And that was the 2016 season. And I guess after the roller coaster, the broken roller coaster that was Mickey Callaway, it's like Terry Collins looks like, the Garden of Eden. In other Mets news, the Mets don't know if Yoenis Céspedes will play in 2020. Fantastic. It's too early to tell, which, of course, he'll probably rehab and they'll be like, he's looking strong, he's looking good, and then he'll get hurt again before the season. So fantastic there. I still say they should trade him to an AL team so he can be a DH and we can get something back for him. The Mets extended a 1-year, $17.8 million qualifying offer to Zack Wheeler, which he will definitely turn down. And he's expected to get like 4 years and $72 million in free agency. So it's like, why do I even bother with that? Although I wonder if there's any part of him that is like, I've been here so long. We came so close to making the playoffs this season. With me on the team, we have a better chance of going to the postseason and winning the World Series, but no, I don't think there's any part of him, especially with an agent in his ear. Like, you'd be an idiot to take the qualifying offer, considering you're going to turn down a whole mountain of cash. Whereas if you take the qualifying offer and then, like, have a career-ending injury, there's also insurance things going on. I don't know how fucking contracts work. 5 bold predictions for the Mets offseason. This is from SNY. This includes trades and free agent signings. Number 1, trade Dominic Smith to the Red Sox for Jackie Bradley Jr. and a top prospect. That's not... I mean, I know these are supposed to be bold predictions, but come on, guy. It's, like, so unrealistic. Dom Smith for JBJ? And I guess he means Dom Smith and a top prospect for JBJ. That makes more sense. But, yeah, I don't see that going the other way around. Number 2, trade Wilson Ramos to the Rangers for a minor league pitcher. I feel like he can get more out of the Rangers than a minor league pitcher. Maybe he meant like a top prospect pitcher. Wouldn't mind one of those. 3, sign Yasmani Grandal, who I guess is 30-ish and caught almost 140 games this past season. So he's still got some durability, longevity, stability. I can't believe they didn't try and sign him the first go round, but whatever. Number 4, sign Cole Hamels. He had a 3.81 ERA over 27 starts last season, I think with the Cubbies. And in that write-up, the SNY write-up, they mentioned that they're more likely to get Tanner Roark, which I don't know the numbers on Tanner, but not exactly getting all the sorority girls hot and bothered. Number 5, signed Drew Pomerantz, who had a 2.38 ERA in 25 appearances while racking up 45 strikeouts in 26 innings. All right, I don't hate it. I think Jared Carabas from Barstool is not a big fan of Pomerantz. So signed Drew Pomerantz and Will Harris, who had a 1.5 ERA in 68 appearances and 60 innings pitched, which that is music to thine ears, even though I guess he gave up like a game-winning home run in the World Series. I mean, what are you going to do? 5 Mets players that Brodie Van Wagenen is most likely to trade this winter. This is another stupid Rising Apple slideshow, which I always get suckered into. I'm a sucker for it. I don't know what it is. And I know as soon as that page loads, I'm like, oh, God damn it, I duped again. And it's nothing that we haven't already discussed. J.D. Davis, Dominic Smith, Brandon Nimmo, Thor, and Conforto. And the more and more I think about it, it's like, no, you're not going to trade Thor unless someone gives you the world. Because he's on the precipice, I feel like. It's like, yeah, we've seen a lot of him 2014 to now. It's like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish, 5, 6 seasons. You feel like that's enough to give you a good barometer measuring stick of what he's capable of. He's only 27. And Wheeler and DeGrom, that's when they started to hit their stride. So I think you hold on to him unless you get some outrageous deal. So no, I don't see that happening. Conforto, I don't see that happening either. Nimmo, I'm coming around on. There were MVP talks like 1 or 2 years ago. You know, he's got a good eye at the plate. He hustles. You know, he's able to make plays in the outfield. You know, I don't know if he's necessarily a Gold Glover. He's shown power here or there. He can hit the ball. You're kind of lacking depth in the outfield, but I don't know. Dom Smith, you should not trade. I mean, you just need an insurance plan for Alonso. So I'd rather have Smith, who, you know, even in his limited time this season, excelled. And then J.D. Davis, that's the one that I hate to see him go. But it's like we just got ourselves in such a contract quagmire with all the bullshit contracts that we have that, unfortunately, he's like the odd man out, which stinks. There was the Metsmerized online had an All-90s team, which I thought was interesting. I think they had Todd Hundley as the catcher, John Olerud at first, which Olerud was only on the team for like 2 seasons, so that's kind of crazy. I think at second, maybe they had either Jeff Kent. I think Jeff Kent at second. That still drives me nuts that we let Jeff Kent go, and he just like dominated with the Giants. I've been thinking about putting together a blog post of just like all the former Mets, doing like the all former Mets team and like all the success and accolades that they got after leaving the Mets, like Justin Turner, Darren Murphy. But, you know, I don't know. time is not on my side. Bobby Bonilla and right, which, you know, we tend to pigeonhole and pin Bobby Bonilla to one thing, and that's this ridiculous contract where he gets $1 million per year for the next million years. That's like what he's remembered for, which is kind of silly. He was my favorite Met, at least in 93. I know I was a huge Bobby Bonilla fan in 1993, and he made the All-Star. He was an All-Star with the Mets a couple times, put up some pretty good numbers, you know, but he'll probably be remembered, I guess, for his second go around with the team. Like him and Burnitz came back to the team in like 03 and they stunk. And that's probably why it just left a bitter taste in people's and fans' mouths. But like in the 90s, Bobby Bo was the shit. So he was like the right fielder on the All-90s team. Lance Johnson in center. I was a big time Lance Johnson fan. I wish he could have stuck around for a little bit more because I just loved the way he played. Bernard Gilkey in left. Hell yeah. That was a 96 season. He went off and had like a career year. And I thought, wow, like that 96, 97 seasons, I was just like, we had Hundley, Johnson, Gilkey. It just felt like we had the right elements and players to win and go to the playoffs. And I'd have to look back to see, like, I don't think the wild card was not implemented yet, but I think if it was, the Mets might have got the wild card and might have done some damage in the postseason. Who knows? It's a whole different ball game once you get to the postseason. Just look at the fucking Nationals. Whew, damn it. The Dodgers. Oh my God. Ugh. So we did catcher first, second. Shortstop is Ray Ordonez. I think third base, they had Edgardo Alfonso. And that's where it's tough because, like, I would have maybe put, if Ventura had played a few more seasons in the 90s, maybe put Ventura at third, Alfonso at second. But it's hard to argue with Jeff Kent. And then you have to put Alfonso somewhere. Yeah, so that's the 90s team, which, can you imagine if we had that team? Oh boy. Hundley behind the dish, Olerud at first, Ken at second, Alfonso at third, Ordonez at short, Gilkey, Johnson, Bobby Bonilla. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to win all the World Series, but we win a couple. God damn. And I think the pitchers, I forget what the pitchers were, but I think it was like David Cohn, Sid Fernandez. I didn't see Frank Viola, but I think Viola should have been included. I know Doc pitched with us until 94, but I don't know that he was as effective or as good. I'm trying to think of other pitchers in the 90s, like Bobby Jones, maybe.